Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan was the founder of the Mongol Empire. He united the warring Mongol tribes in 1206. This single achievement changed world history forever as he transformed scattered nomadic groups into a disciplined military force that would conquer lands from Korea to Eastern Europe and create the largest connected land empire humanity has ever seen. His armies used superior horseback tactics and revolutionary siege warfare techniques borrowed from Chinese engineers. The Mongols defeated the powerful Jin dynasty in northern China and swept through Central Asia like a storm. They followed a brutal but effective policy where cities that surrendered were spared, while those that resisted were completely destroyed. In August 1227, while campaigning against the Western Xia Kingdom, the 65-year-old Khan fell from his horse during a hunt. His body had already been weakened by months of fever. The fall caused internal bleeding that his physicians could not stop. He died on August 18, 1227, in his military camp. Some sources say the fall killed him directly. Others claim he had been suffering from typhus or plague for weeks, and the fall simply finished what disease had started.
JOCHI. JOCHI was Genghis Khan's eldest son and should have been the natural heir to the empire. He commanded the western territories, stretching into Russia, but a dark cloud hung over his entire life because his mother, Borte, had been kidnapped by enemy tribes early in her marriage, and JOCHI was born shortly after her rescue, which led many Mongols to quietly question whether Genghis Khan was truly his father. He proved himself as a brilliant military commander despite the whispers. JOCHI led the conquest of the Kipchak steppe and pushed Mongol power deep into Russia and Eastern Europe. But arguments erupted between father and son over strategy during the siege of Urgench, where JOCHI wanted to preserve the city while Genghis Khan demanded its destruction. By late 1226, JOCHI stopped responding to his father's summons. Genghis Khan grew suspicious and reportedly sent spies to investigate. JOCHI died in February 1227. Some historians believe Genghis Khan ordered the assassination, while others think JOCHI's own men killed him to prevent a civil war that would have destroyed everything the Mongols had built. TOLUI. TOLUI was Genghis Khan's youngest son and perhaps his most talented military commander. He received the Mongol heartland as his inheritance. Many considered him the greatest warrior among all of Genghis Khan's sons, and he led the complete destruction of the Khwarezmian Empire, where entire cities were leveled so thoroughly that they were never rebuilt. He commanded campaigns into Persia and Central Asia with devastating efficiency. TOLUI personally led the siege of Merv, where over 700,000 people died in 1 week. In 1232, TOLUI accompanied ÖGEDEI on a campaign against the Jin dynasty. Both brothers fell ill after heavy drinking. ÖGEDEI recovered, but TOLUI's condition worsened. TOLUI died on October 9, 1232, at just 40 years old. The official story claims he drank cursed water to save his brother through a shamanic ritual. More likely, he died from alcohol poisoning or possibly poisoned wine, as political rivals had reasons to eliminate such a powerful general. ÖGEDEI Khan. ÖGEDEI Khan was chosen by Genghis Khan to be the second great Khan. He was known for diplomacy and building projects rather than just conquest. Under his rule, the Mongol Empire reached its greatest extent, stretching from Poland to Korea, and he established Karakorum as the capital city. He completed the conquest of northern China by destroying the Jin dynasty. ÖGEDEI sent armies west under BATU Khan that conquered Russia, Poland, and Hungary in a devastating campaign. He reformed the postal system and created trade routes that connected east and west. But ÖGEDEI had a serious weakness. He drank alcohol constantly. ÖGEDEI died on December 11, 1241, at age 56. His body was swollen and his liver had failed from decades of heavy drinking. CHAGATAI Khan. CHAGATAI Khan was Genghis Khan's second son and received Central Asia as his domain. He was known as the strictest enforcer of Mongol law and tradition. Genghis Khan valued his rigid sense of justice so much that he made CHAGATAI the guardian of the Yasa, which was the Mongol legal code, and gave him the authority to judge disputes between all the Mongol princes. CHAGATAI despised his nephew BATU Khan for not following traditional ways strictly enough, and this hatred created a split in the empire. He clashed repeatedly with ÖGEDEI over policies, though he remained loyal to his brother as Great Khan. By 1241, CHAGATAI's health had been declining for several years. He suffered from some kind of wasting disease. CHAGATAI died in 1242 at approximately 63 years old. Most accounts suggest he died from a long illness, possibly cancer or tuberculosis that medieval doctors could not treat. GÜYÜK Khan. GÜYÜK Khan was the eldest son of ÖGEDEI and became the third great Khan in 1246. He was sickly from childhood. Despite his weak body, he commanded Mongol forces during the invasion of Europe and witnessed the destruction of Hungary and Poland, which proved he could lead armies. His election as Great Khan was controversial and took 5 years of political struggle after ÖGEDEI's death. GÜYÜK's mother Toqta ruled as regent during this time and manipulated the succession. He hated his cousin BATU Khan with a burning passion because of old family feuds, and when he finally became Great Khan, he immediately began planning to march west and destroy BATU. In 1248, GÜYÜK gathered his army and marched toward BATU's territory. His health collapsed somewhere in Central Asia. GÜYÜK died in April 1248 at just 42 years old. He had been Khan for less than 2 years. Some sources say he died from alcoholism like his father, while others mention gout or kidney failure that his body could no longer fight. BATU Khan. BATU Khan was the grandson of Genghis Khan through his son JOCHI. He founded the Golden Horde, which controlled Russia and Eastern Europe. His armies swept through Europe in the 1240s like an unstoppable force, defeating every Christian army that stood against them, and Europeans believed the Mongols were a punishment from God for their sins. He led the Mongol conquest of Russia, Poland, and Hungary with brutal efficiency. Batu's forces destroyed Kiev, the heart of Russian civilization, and killed tens of thousands. His campaign only stopped when news of ÖGEDEI's death forced him to return east for the succession. Batu survived multiple assassination attempts and political plots. He outlived several great Khans who wanted him dead. His health remained strong for decades while ruling his vast territory from his capital on the Volga River. Batu died in 55 at approximately 48 years old. The exact cause is debated among historians. Some sources mention a sudden illness that killed him within days, while others mention he died from complications after a hunting accident, where he may have been injured.
MÖNGKE Khan. MÖNGKE Khan was Tolui's eldest son and became the fourth great Khan in 1251. He was known for his intelligence and administrative reforms. MÖNGKE restored discipline to the empire after years of civil war and corruption, and he conducted the first empire-wide census to properly collect taxes, which showed he understood that organizing an empire required different skills than conquering one. MÖNGKE sent his brother HULAGU to conquer the Middle East and led his own campaign into southern China. He personally commanded the siege of multiple Chinese fortresses. In 1259, while besieging the city of Diaoyu in southern China, MÖNGKE fell ill. The summer heat was brutal and disease spread through the camp. His condition deteriorated rapidly despite treatment from Chinese physicians. MÖNGKE Khan died on August 11, 1259, at age 51. Some accounts say he died from dysentery, which was common in military camps with poor sanitation. Other sources claim he was struck by a Chinese arrow or a stone from the fortress walls, and the wound became infected, leading to his death days later. HULAGU Khan was another son of Tolui's and MÖNGKE's younger brother. He was sent west to conquer the Islamic world. HULAGU destroyed the assassins' mountain fortresses and then turned toward Baghdad, which was the capital of the Abbasid Caliphate and one of the greatest cities in the world, representing 800 years of Islamic civilization. He besieged Baghdad in 1258 with an army that included Chinese siege engineers. The city fell after just 12 days. HULAGU's forces killed somewhere between 200,000 and 1 million people, and they destroyed the House of Wisdom, which contained centuries of irreplaceable scientific and philosophical texts, making this one of the greatest cultural disasters in human history. He then pushed into Syria, but was stopped by the Mamluks of Egypt at the Battle of Ain Jalut. HULAGU had to retreat because his cousin BERKE Khan threatened to attack him from the north. His health began failing in the 1260s from years of campaigning. HULAGU died on February 8, 1265, at approximately 48 years old. He died from illness in his winter camp in Azerbaijan. BERKE Khan. BERKE Khan was Batu's brother and became the ruler of the Golden Horde in 1257. He made history as the first Mongol leader to convert to Islam.
This conversion created a fundamental split in the Mongol world because it put him at odds with his cousin HULAGU, who had destroyed the Islamic Caliphate in Baghdad, and BERKE saw this destruction as a crime against his new faith. He formed an alliance with the Mamluks of Egypt against HULAGU. BERKE and HULAGU fought the first Mongol civil war along the Caucasus Mountains. Their conflict weakened both of their territories. In 1266, while preparing for another campaign against HULAGU, BERKE fell ill. He was traveling through the Caucasus region. His condition worsened during the journey. BERKE Khan died in 1266 at approximately 53 years old. He died while crossing the Caucasus Mountains, possibly from pneumonia or another respiratory illness that struck during the cold mountain crossing.
ALGHU Khan. ALGHU Khan ruled the CHAGATAI Khanate in Central Asia starting in 1260. He was placed in power by the great Khan MÖNGKE to restore order. The CHAGATAI Khanate had fallen into chaos after Chagatai's death, with various descendants fighting for control, and MÖNGKE needed someone loyal to stabilize this crucial territory that connected the eastern and western parts of the empire. ALGHU was supposed to be a puppet ruler, but he had different plans. He seized full control of the Khanate and declared independence from the Great Khan. ALGHU fought against ABAQA, who was trying to become Great Khan, and he also battled the Golden Horde forces that invaded his territory, showing that he could hold his own against multiple enemies simultaneously. His reign was marked by constant warfare on multiple fronts. He fought his former allies and his enemies with equal ferocity. The stress of continuous campaigning and political maneuvering took a toll on his health. ALGHU Khan died in 1265 or 1266, with sources giving different dates. He was approximately 40 years old. He likely died from battle wounds or illness related to his military campaigns, though exact details are scarce in the historical record. ABAQA Khan. ABAQA Khan was HULAGU's son and became the second ruler of the Il Khanate in 1265. He inherited his father's war against the Mamluks of Egypt and the Golden Horde. ABAQA maintained diplomatic relations with European crusader states and even married a Byzantine princess, which shows how the Mongols in Persia were willing to ally with Christians against Muslim enemies, creating one of history's strangest political situations. He fought multiple wars against the Mamluks and launched several invasions of Syria. He proved to be a capable military commander, though he never achieved the decisive victories his father had won, and the Il Khanate slowly began to weaken under constant pressure from multiple enemies. By 1282, ABAQA's health was declining. He had developed a serious drinking problem like many Mongol nobles. His body was breaking down from years of alcohol abuse and the stress of ruling. ABAQA Khan died on April 4, 1282, at approximately 44 years old. He died from the effects of chronic alcoholism. His liver had failed, and his body could no longer process the massive amounts of alcohol he consumed daily. His death led to religious conflict in the Il Khanate. His brother Ekhmad later converted to Islam, changing Persia forever. KUBLAI Khan. KUBLAI Khan was TOLUI's son and MÖNGKE's younger brother, who became the fifth Great Khan in 1260. He moved the capital from Mongolia to China and founded the Yuan dynasty. Kublai achieved what no one else had done by conquering all of China, and he became the first non-Chinese emperor to rule the entire country. Kublai fought a civil war against his brother ABAQA for the throne, which divided the empire permanently. Kublai completed the conquest of the Song dynasty in southern China after decades of brutal warfare. He also attempted to invade Japan twice, but both invasions failed when massive storms destroyed his fleets, which the Japanese called kamikaze or divine winds, and these failures cost hundreds of thousands of lives. By the 1290s, Kublai had become enormously overweight from years of excessive eating and drinking. He suffered from gout that made walking painful. His favorite wife and his chosen heir both died, sending him into deep depression. Kublai Khan died on February 18, 1994, at 78 years old. He died from complications related to obesity, gout, and possibly diabetes.
Nogai Khan. Nogai Khan was a powerful general and kingmaker in the Golden Horde during the late 1200s. He was descended from JOCHI through a minor line. Despite never officially becoming Khan, Nogai controlled the western territories of the Golden Horde and held more real power than the actual Khans. He led successful campaigns into the Balkans and Hungary, extending Mongol power deeper into Europe than ever before. Nogai married a Byzantine princess and influenced politics throughout Eastern Europe. He defeated and killed multiple Khans who tried to challenge his authority, which showed that actual power mattered more than bloodline in the increasingly fractured Mongol world. In 1299, Khan Toqta finally moved against Nogai to reclaim real power. The two armies met in battle. Nogai was now in his 70s and could barely ride. Nogai Khan died in 1299 or 1200, during or shortly after the battle against Toqta. He was approximately 75 years old. KAIDU Khan. KAIDU Khan was the grandson of ÖGEDEI and spent his entire life fighting to reclaim his family's right to rule. He controlled Central Asia and challenged every great Khan after MÖNGKE. KAIDU rejected Chinese influence and wanted to keep traditional Mongol nomadic ways, which put him in direct opposition to Kublai Khan's vision of a settled Chinese-style empire, and this conflict represented the fundamental question of what the Mongol Empire should become. He fought a 40-year war against Kublai Khan that never truly ended. KAIDU won numerous battles and controlled the vital Silk Road trade routes. He even had a famous daughter named Kutalun, who fought alongside him and defeated many warriors in combat. By 1301, KAIDU was in his 70s and had been at war for most of his life. His body was covered in old battle scars. During a campaign, he was wounded in combat. KAIDU Khan died in 1301 at approximately 75 years old. He died from wounds received in battle, though sources disagree whether it was from a sword, arrow, or spear. The wound became infected and he died within days. GHAZAN Khan. GHAZAN Khan became the 7th ruler of the Il Khanate in 1295 after killing his uncle to seize power. He was the first Il Khan to convert to Islam officially. This conversion transformed Persia completely, because GHAZAN ordered the destruction of Buddhist temples and churches, forced conversions throughout his territory, and made Islam the state religion. He reformed the tax system and tried to reduce corruption that was destroying the Il Khanate's economy. GHAZAN launched multiple campaigns against the Mamluks in Syria and briefly captured Damascus. He proved to be both an effective administrator and a skilled military commander, though he could never achieve the decisive victory over Egypt that would have secured Mongol dominance in the Middle East. By 1304, GHAZAN's health began failing rapidly. He was only in his 30s but suffered from severe illness. Some sources mention symptoms that sound like tuberculosis or perhaps cancer. GHAZAN Khan died on May 11, 1304, at just 33 years old. He died from illness in Tabriz after months of declining health. The exact disease that killed him remains unknown, though it consumed him quickly. TEMÜR Khan. TEMÜR Khan was Kublai Khan's grandson and became the second Yuan dynasty emperor in 1294. He was also known by his Chinese name, Emperor Changzong. Temür inherited a stable empire, but lacked his grandfather's ambition and energy, and he preferred diplomatic solutions over military campaigns. He maintained peace with the other Mongol Khanates and focused on internal administration. Temür improved the postal system and promoted Confucian scholars in government. However, he continued his grandfather's excessive spending on lavish construction projects and court ceremonies, which drained the treasury, and he failed to address the growing corruption among Chinese officials who increasingly controlled the government. By 1307, Temür's health had been declining for several years. He suffered from an unidentified chronic illness. His condition gradually worsened despite treatment from imperial physicians. Temür Khan died on February 10, 1307, at 51 years old. He died from illness at the palace in Khanbalik, which is modern-day Beijing. His death began a period of short-lived emperors. The Yuan dynasty entered a slow decline that would end in rebellion. Toqta Khan. Toqta Khan ruled the Golden Horde from 1929 to 1312, making him one of its longest reigning leaders. He spent the first decade of his rule fighting against Nogai Khan for real control. Toqta struggled to assert his authority while Nogai commanded the armies and placed puppet khans on the throne, and this political landscape defined the Golden Horde for years, with Toqta slowly building his power base while pretending to accept Nogai's dominance. He finally defeated and killed Nogai in battle around 1300, which united the Golden Horde under single rule again. Toqta then focused on maintaining control over the Russian principalities and collecting tribute. He launched several raids into Eastern Europe, but mostly consolidated power rather than expanding territory, which showed he understood that controlling what they had was more important than endless conquest. In his final years, Toqta's health began to fail. He had ruled for over 2 decades.
His body was worn down from years of warfare and stress. Toqta Khan died in 1212 at approximately 54 years old. He died from natural causes, likely related to old age and exhaustion from ruling. His nephew Özbek Khan succeeded him and would convert the Golden Horde to Islam. Toqta's death ended the era of non-Muslim Mongol rule in Russia.